Thor Ragnarok is directed by Taika Waititi, and this is part of the Phase 3 series of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and this is the third installment of the Thor trilogy, and this is a very different version of Thor, as you can tell, and compared to all the other past two films. So the film follows Thor. He must escape the alien planet called Sakaar. This is the planet Hulk, as you probably can guess from the comics. And a lot of things happen to Thor in this film. He has to escape the planet in time to save Asgard from Hela, the goddess of death. He has to stop Ragnarok. He gets joined by Mark Ruffalo's character of the Hulk, Bruce Banner. The goddess of death is played by Cate Blanchett, and she is pretty much the reason as to why Thor's hammer's been destroyed. She literally breaks it in her bare hands. And it's just very powerful stuff. And so a lot of things happen, but there's one thing that really is different about this film. It's a comedy. The film is a non-stop comedy from start to finish. This is the thing that Chris Hemsworth, the character of Thor, needed. This is what he needed, this film right here. The same thing that happened to Captain America. He was okay in the first Avenger. He was fine in Avengers. But then Winter Soldier came out and we're like, wow, Captain America is incredible. He has pretty much just become his own, and he's become one of the big, iconic, big Avengers characters that you are used to seeing in comics, but now in real life. Because when I was around, I was just used to seeing Batman and Spider-Man, and these were the big ones. These were the big superheroes. But then I was just like, these Avengers came along with Iron Man and Thor and Captain America, and I was like, who are these people? Like, who are these characters? I don't know, because I didn't really read any comics. I don't read any comics when I was younger or even now. But these films are the reasons as to why these characters are so much larger than life, and you care so much about them. And this is exactly what this film has done for Thor. He has become one of probably the most popular Avenger now, compared to how he was in the recent films. There's a lot of character change in himself. There's a lot of it is to do with improvisation, and most of it is just plain natural humor that Chris Hemsworth provides in this film. He did the same thing back in Ghostbusters. He was hilarious in that one, or the one called Vacation. He was just hilarious in those films, and so he has applied the exact same thing in this film as well. And it works. It really works. There are just some hilarious lines that had me rolling in the theater.
Your father said he had chosen to remain in exile. And you don't have a phone?
No, I don't have a phone, but you could have sent an electronic letter. It's called an email.
Yeah, do you have a computer?
No, what for?
Thor comes across as a god, but he's also quite stupid as well in the head. And it's such a great technique, it's such a great juxtaposition that you see in his character. You don't really need Thor to come down to Earth to become more human. You don't really need that, and that's what they did in the first Thor. And despite that, no one can really connect with his character. But what they've done in this film is they have completely wiped out Earth, and they've pretty much focused on another dimension, on another planet, which is the planet of Hulk, Sakaar. And despite them not being on Earth, you see Thor more as an approachable and a very likable character. It's fantastic. I gotta say one thing, Hulk versus Thor was just incredible. The fight scene was so good. I was laughing. I was just really just supporting everything. I just had so much fun with this film. It's easily one of my favorites of the MCU, and it's probably one of my favorites, one of my top 3 for best solo films. The supporting cast is once again great. Tom Hiddleston is fantastic as always as Loki. Cate Blanchett, she plays a very good and a very convincing villain. It's very strong. She does a great job in her part. Jeff Goldblum, every single role he is in a film, I don't mind him going, okay, yeah. I don't really mind him doing that. I don't mind him doing that at all. I love his Jeff Goldblum-isms. But the fact that he just does that in every film and he still manages to entertain me, that says something. He's that good. He can do the same thing in every film and you're literally laughing so hard. Tessa Thompson is fantastic in this film. She is so good that there were some points where she stole the show for me. Mark Ruffalo is in this film, and his incarnation, his version of Hulk in this film is the best. You connect more with the character, you sympathize more with the character, you laugh more with the character, and at the same time he is so good at just punching and kicking and just smashing everyone, literally. They balance that out perfectly, and I couldn't be more happier. As soon as you watch this film, as soon as you're literally watching this film, you're about to watch this film, it is really funny. It's so funny. There's this one scene, there's one little movements and body language that Thor does with Ragnarok, with Surtur. It's great. It is so good. And as soon as you see that, you know what type of film that you are going to be watching. And it's just a great one. The movie is so funny that I literally was laughing so hard, but then there were more jokes incoming, and I couldn't stop laughing at some points. It was that good. The movie is quite silly. It's a silly film, but at the same time, it's so silly in all the great reasons, in all the great ways, and that's the best kind. It is easily the best of the Thor trilogy by far, and they really did revitalize this character in such a great way, because if you see and you compare him to Thor 1 and The Dark World and even Avengers and even Age of Ultron, his body language is so grand, it's so godly, that you don't really connect with him that much. He's just sort of there in the background. Even the way he talks, he's so sort of robotic and sort of Shakespearean or whatever, and he does that same thing in this film, but he does it with such in a natural way that you can still connect with him. I have to take you back to the mockumentary. It was Team 4, and I watched that, and I really wished, I was saying to myself, I really want this version of Thor to be in Ragnarok, and they did it. I was so happy, and in each version of Thor, I actually would like to make a video, just for Thor, the character, and how much he's evolved. That would be incredible. But it's just so great that Taika Waititi just transforms his character into being one of my favorites. And I never really was a huge fan of Chris Hemsworth, and he's a good actor, but after this, I'm always behind him. As for flaws, I have just a minor few ones, and it's the fact that in terms of telling a story and telling flashbacks and backgrounds, you see all these scenes where Cate Blanchett's character is explaining a backstory through paintings. The best sort of films still make you into the story. You're still, in the story, and you're still, focusing. But I just easily noticed it with this one. So that's the only thing that I would say. It's a very, very minor one, but it's something that I noticed. I'm going to give Thor Ragnarok an A. It was a blast, and it was so great for him to evolve even more with all these emotions towards Infinity War, because in Infinity War, he does an even better job, and he's still funny and fantastic. He was absolutely fantastic. Well, guys, what do you think about Thor Ragnarok? Your thoughts down below. Tune in for the next film review, and I'll see you very, very soon. Thank you.